Okay, so some of you have already heard me speaking about Pricantes, about Sephardic incantations, but until now I spoke about female incantations, then about comparison between female, male, and rabbinic incantations. Now this is something totally new. It's new to me also. This is actually comparison of Sephardic incantations with Balkan traditions. In other words, many a time there is a quarrel between Spanish scholars and Jewish scholars whether Judeo-Spanish is Jewish or it's Spanish. Well, obviously it's Jewish, obviously it's Spanish, but everybody is forgetting it's totally Balkan, because people were expelled from Spain 500 years, and they were not waiting in a transit on some airports to have the new Spanish law. Rather, they lived someplace, and that place is called basically Ottoman Empire, but Balkans, Middle East, and Asia Minor. So right now I'm comparing the Sephardic tradition, which was Jewish already in Spain, but it's Iberic. It was brought to another peninsula, to the Balkans. Okay. So, first of all, I compared 350 Sephardic Pricantes with 650 Slavic, Balkan, mostly Slavic Pricantes. I found parallels and similarities and obvious influences in three fields: typology, motives, and practices. As far as typology is concerned, in Iberian tradition we have such a thing, historiola, that's a narrative unit of a Pricante, of incantation. Incantation which looks like a story. You know, Elijah the prophet went and met Lilith. That's called historiola. What's typical of Iberian historiola is historiola vera. In other words, here you have one example, which says, Santa Apolasia, tres fillas tenía, una ordía, otra roía, e otra por agua iba. Así como estas palabriñas son verdade, non lusas, non comas, non provalesas, and so on. In other words, the same Saint Apolasia had three daughters. One was doing this, another was doing that. The same way these things are true, so the disease shouldn't have any success. In other words, there is correlation between the veracity of the magical formula and reality. Now, under the influence of Slavic incantations, in Sephardic tradition in Ottoman Empire, we have something totally new. Something which is not attested in Balkan Peninsula. Something that we can actually call historiola falsa. In other words, it's not the veracity, it's the mendacity of the historiola that cures the patient. I'll give you an example. Andando por un caminico, escontrì un culebro vivo con su pie. Achapilo sin mano, degoilo sin cuchillo, englotilo sin paladar. Ansí mere cooking with its leg. Without hands I caught it. Without a knife I slaughtered it. Without a pellet I swallowed it. Just as I spoke the truth, so may you merit, and so may you grow. In other words, being the fact that I was saying lies, the disease should cease to be present in the body. Now, this is typical of Slavic incantations, as you can see in different examples. Uso preso prespolje, vide ga ovčar bez oči, or in English translation, Uso was going up a field. One shepherd sowed it. Without legs he ran. Without hands he cut it. Without a knife he slaughtered it. Without a fire he fried it. Without a mouth he ate it. Or another one, this is another Serbian, right, which says that Usov was flying down the field. And then you can see by the end of it, it's in Serbian, I didn't have time to translate it, but you can see it, that they were running without legs, they cut it without hands, and so on. Now, or here you have a Bulgarian one, right, which again, a sofa, a mythical or entity, a disease, is flying down the field, and the shepherds sow it, and without a dog they cut it, and without a knife they slaughtered it, and so on. Here you can see a beautiful Slovenian one, Katya is not here, unfortunately, which also has a grotesque moment, which says, Seri Brezriti, taking a crap without S. That's the translation. And then Russian one, which says Letit Voron bez kril bez nog. In other words, the crow is flying without the wings and without the legs. Now, what's the idea? The idea is basically that there are two worlds, the chthonic world and the normal world. And by ascribing to the ill person the characteristics of chthonic world, you are actually abolishing the disease. Because you are actually saying that he is not in... If he was in this world, this would have a negative effect on him. But being the fact that he belongs to that world over there, then this is not bad for him. And being the fact that it's not bad, now he can already feel better. Okay? And this is typical of Slavic, especially Southern Slavic magic thinking. Now, motifs. This is also interesting. First of all, anthropomorphization of disease is something typical for the Balkans. The popular culture in Balkans knows exactly how every single disease looks like. One disease looks like a young woman, another looks like an old woman, another looks like twin sisters, another looks like triple sisters. They know exactly, but they are all women. Not all, but most of them are women. Most of them are women. Some are Dracons, but that's not anthropomorphization. They know exactly how that woman carries her hair and whether it's in order or it's all in chaos. This is not typical for Iberian tradition, but in the Balkans we already find Jews anthropomorphizing in a nucleus the diseases. So you can see it in this one. Con el nombre del Dio el Santo bendicho que de rey Alexandra que de verde calzaba, de verde vestía, in English. In the name of the Lord, the Holy One, blessed be He, and in the name of King Alexander, of green shoe, of green garment, who rode on a green horse, who invited all the evils, but forgot the rose. So rose, which is the name of Rosipila, which is the name of disease, is basically entity invited to a banquet. This is, again, something newly developed in the Balkans, obviously under the influence of exaggerated anthropomorphization in the Balkans. Now, you can see in the Balkans that this idea of having a banquet, of having a wedding, and that all disease were invited there, or anthropomorphical disease were invited there, and one was forgotten. You can see it, for example, here. The Saint Sava is wedding his son. All the diseases by the order he invited. By the order, that means alphabetically. But little Stefan's disease, he didn't. Little Stefan is the name of the ill boy. So she, who is she? The disease, but it's totally personified. She became angry. Again, red letters. Saint Sava is wedding his son and he invited all the diseases. But he forgot this one, so she became angry and she's whining and she's crying with tears to the earth and so on. In this same Plicante we can actually see another Balkan motif, which is the revenge of the non-invited. It's something that happens also in the fairy tale of the Sleeping Beauty, where all the fairies were invited and one was not invited, and then she curses the girl, right? So you can see it here. In the name of the Lord, the Holy One, blessed be He, and in the name of the King Alexander, and so on, who invited all the evils but forgot the rose. So, being the fact that he forgot the rose, now the rose is taking revenge on this person. So this is another Balkan motif. You can see Saint Wednesday is marrying off her son. First of all, there is such thing as Saint Sunday, there is such thing as Saint Friday. These are actual saints in Christian church. But Saint Wednesday is invention of popular religion. But Saint Wednesday is marrying her son, and Saint Friday is marrying her daughter. They invited all the vows. They just forgot this nice one. So they're already saying that the wound is nice, and they are treating it nicely and politely. Here you can see another one. They are saying to Usov, that's another disease. That's actually the disease which something like we would call it Godesh Bashad. How would you say it in English? I don't know.
Overflowing with milk.
Overflowing with milk, exactly. So the thing is, they are the Precante is saying the girl was born in the holy mountain. She was never baptized, so Usov should be there again on the celebration to receive a present, right? So basically, you are trying to tempt the disease to leave the body by proclaiming that it should be someplace else where something good is going on, and it's not actually her fault that she was neglected. Okay, then Elijah the prophet is also marrying his son, as you can see in this example, and so on. Now, sometimes in Sephardic Pricantes, this entire thing can get messed up. So the person is speaking in first person, and now he's inviting King Alexander. So he says, look at the red letters. He says, Al rey Alexandre y a todo el mundo convite les haré. To the King Alexander and the rest of the world, I will make an invitation. I will make a celebration, right? Y del espanto se olvidaré, but I will forget to invite espanto. Espanto is fear, right? So we don't have time, because if we would like to do a Derridian reading, then we can do only one Precante at a time. So I'm jumping to another group. Graduality of the removal of the disease. That's also a typical for Balkan tradition, and we can also attest it in Sephardic tradition. In Sephardic tradition, you have todo el mal de aquí lo quito, al pocún lo hecho, del pocún a la piedra, de la piedra a la calle, de la calle a las profundinas de la mar. In other words, all the evil from here I have taken, but I cannot throw it directly to the sea, right? To the threshold I have thrown, from the threshold to the stair, from the stair to the street, from the street to the depths of the sea. And then in Serbian local Precante, you have go from the bone to the meat, from the meat to the skin to the hair, from the hair to the knife. So it's graduality. When we are speaking about especially heavy skin disease, like spinja and that kind of stuff, then this is the kind of treatment, a gradual treatment. Another thing are the characters. So you can see Balkan characters entering all of a sudden the Judeo-Spanish scene. So if before in Spain we had a lot of Josephat Tzaddik and we had a lot of Benjamin and we had two rabbinical personalities like Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair and obviously Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, here in the Balkans all of a sudden Alexander the Great enters the scene. So you have the one which we already saw, con el nombre del santo bendicho, Kedere Alexandra. And pay attention that in female popular magic, they are both more or less in the same place, with the help of God and with the help of King Alexander. You can see also that something that in Spain had Santa Apolasia, in Balkans will have King Alexander. So here is Precante, Christian Precante from Spain, which says Santa Apolasia tres fias tenía, una urdía, otra roía, and here is a Precante from Balkans, and it has El Rey Alexandre tres hijas tenía, una se quemaba y otra se abre y otra le echa agua que se amajara. It's almost the same, but Santa Apolasia was replaced with King Alexander, which is an obvious pagan Balkan influence. Okay, then another character is El-Hidr. El-Hidr, or the green one, is the Islamic version of Elijah the Prophet. And here, actually, in one single Precante, we have all of that together. Because not only the God of Israel is there in the beginning, in the name of the Lord, the Holy One, blessed be He. King Alexander is there, and in the name of King Alexander. But this is not just a pagan Alexander. This is now Alexander who is touched by Islamic culture. Of green shoe, of green garment, who rode green horse, and so on. Now, you can see here a beautiful thing. You can see how the manuscripts are working. In the north, right? How do you say green in the north? You say verde, right? But in the south of the Balkans, you say vedre. Now the difference between vedre and vidro, vedre, green, and vidro, glass, is only final yud or final vav, one single letter. So you have here two manuscripts. In one manuscript, King Alexander is already having vidro, the vidro vestia, the vidro calzava. But that's not vidro. Another manuscript is obviously saying the vedre vestia, the vedre calzava. And then there are other parallels which are all using vedre, vedre, vedre. And there are other parallels which are using verde, verde, verde. So we see actually how this copyist made a mistake. And he converted the green into glass. Okay, here you can see it on the picture. Vidro, it's obvious vav. And here you can see it in another manuscript with an obvious yud. Okay, motifs. Here I'm asking for your help. There is a personality, entity, whatever you want to call it, called Angel Estrivo. And Gershom Scholem did a nice, how do we call it, nice try. He did a nice try by claiming that Estrivo is basically Striga, right? And Striga, we know who is Striga. But this doesn't, and then this became established fact. As you can see, here is Gershom Scholem saying this, but he's saying it in a very authoritative manner, right? He doesn't say it might be, I think it can be, whatever. He says the prophet, medieval form, where is that? The medieval formula in the form of narratives, the prophet Eliezer working through a field. In this magical formula, frequently called by the name of Astaribo. So he claims that Lilith and Astaribo. First of all, Astaribo is not the right reading. The right reading is Estrivo. But he claims that Astaribo and Lilith are the same. And then this becomes an established fact. As you can see in a German book on Kabbalah, as you can see in an English book on Kabbalah, right? Scholem has established that the name Astaribo should correctly be read as Astriga. Now, this can't be true because... Oh, and from there you can see also today on the internet that there are witches who want to call themselves Lilith, so they call themselves Astaribo, and so on. To make a long story short, this can't be true because Estrivo ends with an O. In all the texts, it's an obviously male entity, so it can't be Lilith. So my suggestion is that this also could be Slavic, and this actually could be Stribor, or Stribog, or Strivo, who is the old Slavic deity of wind. I'm ending with this and just practices two small sentences. This is another field of comparison. Sephardic Indulko versus the Islamic/Christian pouring sherbet on the place of Ograma. And here you can see what we spoke about today, right? It says that he actually doesn't explain either the etymology of the word, but he says if a person became frightened in a certain place, then the magic healer goes to that place and he pours the sherbet over the place, and sherbet is obviously sweet, so it's similar to sweetening. And then you can see that also there is praying to entities or praying to shadim, not only in Sephardic tradition, as you can see here, right? Indulco que hacen las mujeres al casino para los sidim y les degollan gallina, and so on. And this is Rabbi Menashe Siton, which is Kenesia Leshem Shamaim, where he is actually bringing the prayer that they are saying. You can see the same thing in the Slavic tradition. In the Slavic tradition, this is one prekante, and with this I'm ending. If you are young men, may you be our brothers. If you are old men, may you be our fathers. I gave you all these good things, bring to us the good soul of this man. If you are young woman, may you be our sisters. If you are middle-aged woman, let you be our mothers. If you are old woman, let you be our grandmothers. We are giving you good, give us good in return. So, this is actually the idea. The Judeo-Iberian tradition was developed in the last 500 years in a different peninsula. And all the aspects of Sephardic tradition are bearing Balkan marks. And this is actually the first time that we are seeing the marks that the Balkans have left on Sephardic magic. Thank you.
I would like to call Dr. teaches in Aristotle University and has published a lot about Balkan Jews. He will speak today about